Hi everyone, it's Cassandra Williamson, and let me adjust my camera just slightly. Okay, so yes, I'm coming to you from, move my camera too, from the hills of eastern Kentucky, in Pike County, little place called Hardy, and I'm going to tell you that this is as let me see, up in the holler as far as you can get kind of place. Yes, it is. But you know, there's some great people here, and I love being here because, excuse me, I get an opportunity to do things for my family that my heart and obligation actually runs toward. And that's the family that I have here. And I'm very thankful for them. I'm so glad that I'm in a place where I can actually be of help to them. Um, just took mom to the doctor earlier today. Um, you have to do all the things to get ready to go to the doctor, have to help with all of that kind of stuff, getting ready, getting dressed, getting all of that stuff together. But it was a good report from the doctor, just a regular checkup. Nothing serious going on. Her blood pressure and blood sugar levels were all fine. Oxygen intake was good and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's good. Her health is stable. She still has issues, obviously, at 86 with some cognitive function, stuff like that. But mom's doing really well otherwise. And so is my sister Irma. And Gideon, my brother, is absolutely working his heart out to try to get his health recovered as well. I mean, he's putting everything he can into making sure that he can keep on going. And that's a testament to perseverance. And I was really concerned for the longest amount of time, really concerned about it, because his breathing was getting worse and worse, and he's still having to use oxygen and stuff like that. But he's really trying. I know he has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. So I'm so glad to be here for them and for my cousin, Lois. And I'm so glad that Lois is doing all right too. She's 82. And so Lois is doing well, doing well. She doesn't get out of the house too much anymore, and she doesn't drive. But make sure she gets food and check in on her ever so often, every day or so. And that's what life is really all about. These are the people who were there with you at the very beginning of life. Okay, because Lois, my first cousin, is obviously, she's a few years older than me. And mom, I get the opportunity to return the favor of everything that she did for all of us. She had 6 kids, all of us, as we were coming into this world and coming up into the world. Mom and dad were there for us along the way. And it's really a phenomenal family that has done so well in that regard with all of us. Now, life wasn't easy, obviously. Well, not necessarily obviously, but it was difficult. It was a challenging life, but it was still one filled with love and compassion and understanding, and giving all of us a sense of what was right and wrong. And one of the biggest things is compassion for other people and the empathy for them, and just being respectful human beings and not walking back from what you believe. I'm in a place that is entirely red, completely. Probably a blue neon light in the midst of the red around here, but I don't make a big deal out of it either, except on these shows, these programs. I do just live myself as I am, day in and day out. And mom and my cousin told me today that, hey, the skirt you had on was a little bit too short. I thought that was funny. It's a little black dress. I got this wrap around it. Okay, it's just part of it. But they said that one's a little too short. I'm sitting in the car after I took mom to the doctor. I'm having to pull my skirt down, my dress down. And she said, that was a little bit short. I pulled it down a little bit further. And she just laughed. So I encounter all kinds of people here in the mountains in Appalachia. And I'm going to tell you, these are some of the best people in the world. They're full of heart, full of passion, very knowledgeable of all kinds of things. And they're basically pretty well-rounded people, okay? And that's a great thing. And the problem we're seeing, though, is on the national level, they kind of make a mountain out of a molehill, all right? Particularly around people like me who are, even though I hate using the term to describe myself, there's no other way to actually do it successfully, I suppose. But so I am a transgender person. If you didn't know that, well, you kind of need to open your eyes up, yeah, and your ears. I have this old Marine Corps voice, and it kind of comes across that way every now and then. And yeah, that's fine, though. You know, I am who I am, and, you know, I am, therefore I am, right? Yeah, exactly. There are things going on at the national level, though, that actually is hugely disturbing to anyone of good conscience, anyone of a sense of, you know, well thought, well thinking for other people. And right now we have an administration that is going out of their way to be mean to people like me, a veteran who happens to be trans, a transgender veteran. And they've ordered the VA, the Veterans Affairs Administration, the place where I get my health care and who takes care of me and makes sure that the community care system is there and where it should be, and reach out for that and all that, that take care of everything that I need for my health and well-being. But right now, the leadership in the VA system, Secretary Collins, as well as Pete Hegseth and DOD, they've got this really crazy thing about trans people. I think maybe we excite them or something. I don't know what it is, but they can't get us out of their heads. They can't get us out of their thinking. Everything they do seems to be directed towards trans people in America, and especially veterans. I don't understand that. These people who are just recently on active duty, who are now veterans, actually, I mean, they're stellar people, highly qualified, meet every standard exceedingly well. And yet, the only reason to kick them out is because they're trans? Really? Really? You want to spend another $20 million on retraining people to fill in those roles that you put all of those people through, or more probably, because you had fighter pilots and space scientists and all of this stuff? I mean, come on. You want to retrain somebody for that job who is not trans. But the people you kicked out were there because of their abilities and their skill and their knowledge and their leadership. Inside VA, Doug Collins is a veteran too. I get it. I know that he is. But I also know a lot of veterans who don't like trans people. But the VA has authorized staff and providers within their system to discriminate against anyone they don't like, to not provide for them the care that those people have earned simply because they have an ideological difference with them. And that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, folks. That goes against everything that you're taught, that we were taught here in the mountains of Eastern Kentucky and Southern West Virginia. I mean, come on. When you see somebody hurting, is the first thing you ask, are you trans, or are you ideologically different from me? Are you far right or far left? Are you in the middle, or are you whatever? And what? First thing you do is you take care of people. That's the Christ way of doing things, is it not? So why is this going on? Well, it's a power trip thing, but it's also another ideological thing too, because this is religious. This comes out of their religious views. You got pastors out there who just as soon see all LGBT people lined up and shot. And if you say that that's not true, then you need to look it up and pay attention. It is true. They say it here in the United States, then they go to Africa and say the same thing over there in their missionary field work. Yes, go check it out. It's there. We've got people who are saying all that stuff and helping all these other countries line up all of their policies against LGBT. What is the problem? If there's no variability in humanity, then we would all look alike, right? Right? If it was just strictly yes, no, on, off, left, right, up, down, there would be no variability, and every person in the world looks mostly alike. But that's not the case, is it? The only reason is because they can't figure out how to justify our existence, and we threaten their existence somehow or the other, because I think President Trump is trying to blame every problem in the country on trans people. What the heck is up with that? Well, that way, if basically what he's doing is he's rallying his forces and his people, particularly the extremists over there. And yes, there are extremists left and right. Don't get me wrong about that. I'm not saying that at all. I know that's the case. They're equally bad, extremes on either side. They do more harm to the future of this country than anything, left and right. And I'll call them all out too, left and right. Like a friend of mine from out in Minnesota, well, South Dakota. I think she's in one of those too. But she calls balls and strikes. Marine Corps. Good person, like me. She and I have had those conversations about calling balls and strikes, and then not having our viewpoints heard, not having viewpoint diversity being part of who we are. But inside the VA system, though, whenever you allow people to be able to openly discriminate simply because they don't like you for who you are, there's nothing in that that's biblical. And if you say you're a Christian and you can justify that kind of stuff, I think the person in your book has deceived you. You have fallen into a trap. Because everything I know about Christianity, and I was raised in it here, and I worked in it actually for a number of years, everything I know about it is compassionate and empathetic and understanding, and trying to at least walk in and understand another person so that you can show them the life that Jesus wanted them to live, folks. And it's not one of anger and resentment. It's not one of fearing everything around you. What does he say repeatedly? Fear not, fear not, fear not, fear not, and fear not, again and again. And he goes on and says, love your neighbor as yourself. Now look, for those of you hating on people like me, you must not love yourself. That's plain as it can be, right? If you're hating on people like me, then you must not love yourself. There's some problem inside you that you need to fix. You need to take the log out of your own eye. And you need to fix the things in your life and ask forgiveness for them. If you are a Christian or you believe or whatever, that's what you need to do, right? That's what you're told to do. Here in Appalachia, I have more of that kind of acceptance and not judgment, at least to my face, than anywhere in the country that I've been before. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. I've been all over the country. I've been in all the lower 48 states, all of them, and visited probably 85% of all the major VA medical facilities in the nation. And I'm going to tell you that there are good people in every state, and probably far more good people than you could ever possibly imagine. There's more good people than there are bad people. But there are people in the current administration who want you to fear, and not so much as think, fear trans people and immigrants and illegal immigrants even. Most of those illegal immigrants, Trump keeps saying it over and over, that most of the illegal immigrants are violent criminals and all this kind of stuff. Most are not. That is hyperbole. Yes, there are bad apples in the group. shoot, there's bad apples right here in our own country, right? And I would dare say that the statistics, when you look at the numbers, they'd be roughly equivalent. The bad hombres and the bad hombres here. Number-wise, statistically wise, is probably roughly the same. Pretty close, relatively. So you've got a long way to go before you can convince me that this country isn't compassionate. This area is not compassionate or empathetic or understanding or trying to understand and at least live with and let live. That's what I see here. I don't know where Trump gets this idea that the country is opposed to us, opposed to my existence. No, the country is not opposed to my existence. If they were, do you think I would be able just to live at peace here with my family in Eastern Kentucky? Do you really think that that would be the case? We've got a long way to go, folks, before we get this stuff turned around and fixed. We have a long way to go before we can get to the place where you can look me in the eye and say, I don't understand you, but I respect you. I don't understand you, but I can live with that. That's the point we need to reach. That means that you don't want to have ideological purity across the whole of the federal government. You don't want it in your local areas either. You don't go around and casting out someone or kicking them out of your communities because they don't agree with you. People are people. And all it takes is just having a conversation with someone, talking with them, engaging with them as I do. Just talk, listen, mostly listen. And you'll understand then what it means to have a friend who doesn't necessarily agree with everything that you do or anything that you believe in. That's fine. That's fine. That's what makes us even stronger. There's an old thing going around that actually it's not old, it's within the Army used to have this, the military used to have this. Diversity is our strength. No, that's actually not the case in that regard. Diversity is a quantifiable number, okay? And that's what most people miss. Diversity is here and you cannot change that. You can't change the fact that we have a diverse nation. Racially, ethnic, sexual orientation type, sexual identities, gender identities, ethnic backgrounds, you name it, religious, political. I mean, we're all different. There's something different about all of us. That is the diversity that is quantifiable. But it's inclusivity. The fact that we have that diversity, when we act up on it and try to include people in our conversations rather than excluding them and kicking them out to the side of the road or inviting them in because we need to have another perspective on things. That is the part that makes us stronger. When you can hear an opposing view, knowing that you don't necessarily have to accept it, but you can at least hear it and try to understand their perspective on things without cutting them down and being judgmental about it, then we've come a long way. And that's what this country is supposed to be all about. But right now you got somebody in power who is using an ideological purity test to put people in positions so that they can do what this person wants in the White House. And that's fine to a certain degree, but right now it has been turned into something that's on steroids. You're allowing people in the federal government to actually discriminate openly against people that they don't like or don't want to be around. That is the furthest thing from anything that Christ would have told them to do, is it not? Do y'all see that? Am I just talking in the wind here? Am I just saying things that are way over your head or something? Come on. Let me look at the comments here real quick. All right. Hello, Jamie. Let's see, this is what Junia says. As you know, the Bible has been rewritten to change out certain phrases and words to fit the Roman Catholic narrative that demonize it. Yeah, I know. That's exactly, yeah, exactly. Hello, Jamie. Glad you were here. Junia, thank you so much. So basically what I'm trying to say is we have to be able to entertain other ideas. That doesn't mean you have to accept them. It just means that wisdom is gained from an ability to see other things the way someone else sees them and not necessarily accept it as your own because it may not be applicable to you. But you know, that's what it is. And having some compassion and empathy, that's lacking. That is completely gone right now. It's a top-down makeover and turning it into something that is neither biblical nor humane. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about tonight. One of them, I got to one thing, which was the VA thing, the VA situation with allowing discrimination within. The other thing is that I want you to know that I emphatically support, sorry, Israel's right to survive and to ensure its survival. Iran has always had, at least under this current Islamic regime, the objective of destroying Israel and the great Satan, the United States. I fully support, I'll say it again, I fully support Israel in this attack to remove the nuclear threat that is posed by Iran. And I fully support the destruction of Hamas, not the Palestinian people, but I fully support the destruction of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. They're nothing but enablers from or financed through Iran. And if Israel can remove all of that to weaken them to that degree, to stop them from getting the arms they need and all these different little proxies around the region, so be it. Iran has been a problem ever since 1979, whenever they held our people hostage for 444 days during the Carter administration. I was in the military then. Many of you listening probably were too. But that pissed me off big time. And it bothered me to no end that we could not get them out, that Carter couldn't get them out, even though we sent troops in there, some openly and some in a clandestine manner, but we still couldn't get them out. And Reagan was able to get them out, which is great. Glad somebody got them out. But they have always, since then, been our enemy. Everywhere we turn, Iran has been our enemy through their proxies, through themselves, through whatever. So I don't really care if they have a regime change in there. I don't want us going over there and putting our troops in place and leaving them there. I absolutely don't want to do that. But I do not object to getting rid of the leadership in Iran right now. And the question might be, well, what will come in its place? Well, most people in Iran, the Persians who live there in Iran, they actually, well, I can't speak for them personally. I don't know that many, but I do know some here in the country, in the US. And they're actually happy with the fact that we could possibly take out this person leading their country right now. So Israel, whatever it takes. Trump, whatever it takes. That threat's been hanging over Israel for long enough. Got to put an end to it. Israel has every right to exist in its own territory. And they've had that right for at least 3,000 years. Now, let me see. Somebody put a coverage down here. Another comment down here. Jamie. Hey, Jamie, let's see what you got. See, media coverage of trans females in sports against females are destroying us. Yes, I agree with that completely. Jamie, thank you for that comment. And I've said that many, many times on this program, is that if you went through male puberty, you do not belong or should not be competing in genetic female sports. You personally may not have a physical advantage, but statistically you do. Greater reach, greater lungs, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you've got that. Those are the statistics. And that's the science of it. And yes, testosterone removal may weaken a person born as a genetic male slightly and put the testosterone levels down there where it's more compatible with what it means to be female. But the problem is, if you went through male puberty, then you've gained a few extra things in your body mass and structure that would not have been there had you not done that. And so if you're out there, if you are out there doing or participating in sports, you were born XY on a superficial level, it doesn't matter, but if you were born XY, you do not need, you should not be participating in sports against XX females. Shouldn't. It does create a slight disadvantage for them, even though most would probably not succeed in the sports against the women. Enough do. All it takes is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 to reach something at a national level, and immediately they become a target. The entire community becomes a target then, because those people have selfishly decided for themselves that they have got to win in this sport, even though they were second rate in the XY sports. Excuse me, fighting a cold myself here. So, yeah, I agree with Jamie on this one. Absolutely. We've got to start taking care of the future of all of us and stop being selfish about it. And so, yeah, I agree. And that's not the only thing. I mean, there's some things that I agree with from the Trump side of things, and that's happens to be one of them. But they've taken it to another level. They put it on steroids, and they're going to go after everybody. The whole intention was never to stop with trans people. Excuse me. We know that. Project 2025, the Mandate for Leadership, said that clearly. It was never just about gender and gender identification. It was also about sexual identification. It was also about abortion. It was also about all these other topics. Excuse me. So, you know, if you listen to any of the programs I've done over the past several months now, long months actually, since January, I think probably, I've always said I'm going to say some things that's going to offend somebody somewhere along the line. Because now I'm no longer restrained by the organizations with which I was associated in the past. I admire what they're doing, but I happen to think that they've become too siloed. That's my personal opinion. They've become too ideologically pure, just like we're trying to do this stuff against what Trump is doing in the federal government. He's creating this ideological purity test for people at the academies, the service academies, and across the military and across the whole of the federal enterprise. An ideological purity test, that is nowhere near meritocracy. We had meritocracy. Yeah, it was flawed to a certain degree, but this is not it. Going back to a spoil system? Oh my God, no way. That's where we are. So let me just go back down here and put up one other comment from Junia. Junia says that she supports the complete removal of the Netanyahu regime. That's fine. I understand that as well. I get it. There's a lot of people who say that Netanyahu has become more authoritarian, and yeah, there's some justification for that kind of comment and that kind of belief, and I respect that. In this current situation, I hope he can bomb the heck out of Tehran and get rid of the Ayatollah. And no, I don't think we ought to go in there and turn it into a parking lot. That's what the Ayatollah wants to do to Iran, to Israel and Netanyahu. The Ayatollah would love to see Israel just turned into a big, glowing, radioactive parking lot. And if Gazans were killed in the process, that's fine. They accomplished their goal. That's just the way it works for these people. Okay? They've got this sworn enemy. They've had this enemy for 3,000 years. Yes, it's 3,000 years. So, anyway, I'm going to get off here and call it a day, but I do appreciate everyone jumping in and the comments. And by the way, the comments I really appreciate because I can feed off of a lot of those things after I get done spewing, everything that I can think of, doing a brain dump. So I hope everyone has a great evening. Remember to smile and hug your families if you have them close. If not, think of them. And just know that there are reasonable people everywhere. Reasonable, caring, compassionate people everywhere. And I know that, and so do you. And the path forward is just to take care of yourselves and to make sure you're taking care of somebody else too. Have a good evening. See you tomorrow, 12.